I still remember the exact words my mother-in-law said the day I left. "You'll be back within a month, begging on your knees. Women like you always come crawling back." She stood in the doorway of the house I'd cleaned, cooked in, and bled my soul dry trying to make into a home. Her arms crossed, that smug smile playing on her lips. My husband, ex-husband now, stood behind her, silent as always, letting her speak for him like he'd done for 3 years of our marriage. "You have nothing," she continued, her voice dripping with satisfaction. "No degree, no career, no money. You gave up everything to play housewife, and now you think you can just walk away? Be realistic, dear. You'll realize soon enough that you need us more than we need you." My hands trembled as I gripped the handle of my single suitcase. Everything I owned fit in one bag. That's what I'd been reduced to. I'd entered that family with dreams, ambitions, and a college acceptance letter. I left with borrowed clothes and $17 in my pocket. "We'll see," I whispered, more to myself than to her. She laughed. Actually laughed. "We'll be waiting. I give you 3 weeks before you're at this door, apologizing for your tantrum." I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I had, she would have seen the tears streaming down my face, and I refused to give her that satisfaction. The truth was, I had nowhere to go. My parents had cut me off when I married against their wishes. My friends had slowly disappeared during my marriage. Marcus hadn't liked me having friends, said they were bad influences, who filled my head with feminist nonsense. I'd been so young, so desperate to prove I could make my own decisions, that I'd pushed away everyone who actually cared about me. That first night, I slept in a 24-hour diner, nursing a single cup of coffee until sunrise. The manager, a kind older woman named Margaret, found me crying in the bathroom at 3 a.m. "Rough night, honey?" she asked gently. I broke down completely. Told her everything. The emotional abuse, the constant belittling, the way Marcus's mother had systematically destroyed my confidence, convinced me I was worthless without them. How I'd been 19 when we married, 22 now, with nothing to show for those years but scars I couldn't see. Margaret listened until I had no tears left. Then she offered me something I hadn't expected, a job and a room above the diner. Minimum wage and basic accommodation, but it was mine. "The only condition," she said firmly, "is that you enroll in college. Part-time, online, whatever works. But you study. Deal?" I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. The first month was hell. My phone buzzed constantly with messages from Marcus's family. At first, they were angry. How dare I embarrass them? Who did I think I was? I'd regret this betrayal. Then came the mocking messages. Photos of Marcus with other women, captions about how easily I'd been replaced. Screenshots of my mother-in-law's social media posts about ungrateful daughters-in-law who abandoned their duties. But the worst messages were from Marcus himself. Late-night texts that veered between begging and threatening. "I love you, come home." Then, hours later, "You're making the biggest mistake of your life." And finally, my mother was right. "You're nothing without us. You'll see." I blocked them all at week 5. By then, I'd started my online courses in business administration. I worked the diner from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., studied until 8 p.m., then worked the dinner shift until midnight. I lived on staff meals and coffee, slept 5 hours a night, and cried in the shower so no one would hear. But I didn't go back. 6 months in, I got promoted to shift supervisor. Small victory, but the first thing I'd earned entirely on my own. Margaret taught me everything about running a food business: inventory, vendors, customer service, financial management. She became the mother I'd lost, the mentor I'd never had. A year passed. Then 2. I completed my associate degree and started my bachelor's. I'd stopped crying in the shower. Stopped checking if Marcus's number would appear on my block list. Stopped wondering if his mother was right about me. I learned I was good with numbers. Really good. I helped Margaret revamp the diner's entire financial system, cutting costs by 30% while improving quality. Word spread. Other small business owners started asking for my advice. By year 3, I was consulting for 6 different businesses while finishing my degree. I'd moved into my own apartment, tiny, but mine. I'd reconnected with my parents through a letter that took me 47 drafts to write. They flew across the country to see me, cried, apologized, and we started rebuilding. Year 4, I launched my own consulting firm. Nothing fancy, just me and a laptop, helping small businesses optimize their operations. But I was making more money than I'd ever imagined possible for someone who'd once had only $17. Year 5, I hired my first employee, then my second. My firm started gaining recognition. I was invited to speak at a women's entrepreneurship conference. That's where I met him, David. Kind, supportive, successful in his own right, and completely secure in himself. He didn't need to control me to feel powerful. We took things slow. I'd learned that lesson well. But for the first time since I was 19, I felt like myself around another person. Like I could breathe. I'd stopped thinking about Marcus and his family entirely. They were a chapter I'd closed, sealed, and filed away in the dusty archives of my past. Until I walked into a potential client meeting and found myself face-to-face with my ex-mother-in-law. She'd aged. The sharp, cruel beauty she'd wielded like a weapon had faded into hard lines and bitter angles. She was sitting across the conference table, looking small in a way I'd never seen before. The potential client, Mr. Thompson, made introductions. This is Mrs. Patterson. Her son's business is struggling, and I recommended your services highly. I could have walked away. Should have, maybe. But something made me stay. Mrs. Patterson, I said coolly, extending my hand. It's been a while. Recognition flooded her face. Shock, then disbelief, then something that looked like fear. You're the consultant? Her voice cracked. I am. Shall we discuss your son's business problems? The meeting was professional. Brutally so. I reviewed their numbers with the detached efficiency I'd perfected over 5 years. Their business was hemorrhaging money through mismanagement, outdated practices, and, ironically, an overbearing family structure that prevented necessary changes. My recommendation, I said, closing my laptop, is complete restructuring. Remove family members from decision-making positions unless they're qualified. Hire actual professionals. And implement boundaries between family and business. Mrs. Patterson's face was ashen. That's quite harsh. That's reality. The same reality you once told me I needed to face. I stood, gathering my materials. I'll send my full proposal. You have 48 hours to decide if you want to proceed. I'm quite busy, so I'll need a commitment if you want my firm's time. Wait, she said as I reached the door. Her voice was small, defeated. We heard you were doing well, but I didn't believe. I thought they were exaggerating. I turned back. She looked so different from the woman who'd mocked me in that doorway. Or maybe I was different, and that changed how I saw her. You told me I'd come crawling back in 3 weeks, I said quietly. It's been 5 years. I'm not here to gloat, Mrs. Patterson. I'm here because Mr. Thompson asked me to help a struggling business. Whether that business is connected to you is irrelevant to me now. You're just another potential client. Marcus asks about you, she blurted out. He's divorced again. 3rd time. He says he ruined everything by letting you go. He didn't let me go. I corrected. I left. There's a difference. I walked out of that conference room with my head high and my heart steady. She called the next day and declined my services. I wasn't surprised. Some people would rather fail than admit they were wrong. But Mr. Thompson called me a week later with 3 new referrals. My business grew. David and I got engaged. My parents attended the ceremony, crying tears of joy this time. Margaret sat in the front row, beaming like the proud mother she'd become. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that girl who walked away with 1 suitcase and $17. How terrified she was. How broken. How certain she was that she'd made a terrible mistake. I wish I could go back and tell her that the woman who laughed at her pain would one day sit across a conference table, small and defeated, while she decided whether to help her. That the man who let his mother speak for him would end up alone, cycling through marriages, never learning the lesson. But mostly, I wish I could tell her that she was right to walk away. That the trembling hands gripping that suitcase were the hands of someone brave, not weak. That leaving wasn't running away, it was running toward the life she deserved. They bet I'd crawl back. They were so certain, so smug. I let time prove them wrong. And it did.